The sun hung low over the Texas horizon, casting a golden hue across the rolling hills and dusty plains. Nathan Rourke, a rugged cowboy with calloused hands and a heart weary from past heartbreaks, stood on the porch of his family's ranch. His mother's voice echoed in his ears from earlier that week. "It's time you settled down, Nate. You need a good woman." He didn't argue. He wasn't one for chasing city girls or dating apps, but when his cousin married a sweet woman from back east through a traditional matchmaking arrangement, Nathan figured it couldn't hurt to try. His family reached out to a distant family friend, wealthy, traditional, and well-connected. That friend promised to send one of their daughters to the Rourke Ranch for a few weeks, just to see if sparks might fly. What Nathan didn't know was that the family, while polite on the surface, wasn't taking the arrangement seriously. They saw Nathan's cowboy lifestyle as beneath them, and in a cruel twist, decided to send their less desirable daughter, Marigold, known within her family as the Fat Sister, as a joke. Marigold knew exactly why she was being sent. Her mother had been blunt. "You'll do this for the family. It's not like you have prospects here anyway." That sentence clung to her like a weight. She had spent most of her life being the one people overlooked around. Too soft-spoken, too different from her elegant, slender sisters, but Marigold had a quiet strength that no one in her family had ever cared to notice. She arrived in a simple blue sundress. Her luggage wheeled awkwardly behind her. The Texas sun was unforgiving, but she stood tall as the old pickup truck pulled up to meet her. Nathan hopped out, expecting, well, he wasn't sure, but it wasn't her. She had eyes like dusk, gentle, warm, and layered with emotion. Her figure, though fuller than what fashion magazines hailed, held a grace that drew his gaze longer than he expected. And when she smiled and said, "Hi, I'm Marigold," with a mix of nervousness and courage, something in his chest stirred. He tipped his hat. "Nathan, welcome to Rourke Ranch." The drive back was quiet but not uncomfortable. She watched the fields roll by, asking occasional questions about the land, the horses, the work. Not idle questions, genuine curiosity. That impressed him. Meanwhile, back east, her sisters were already snickering in their group chat, sending jokes and snide remarks. They had no idea that Marigold wasn't just going to survive the trip. She was about to change the course of two lives. As the truck rolled up the gravel drive to the ranch house, Nathan glanced at her one more time and thought, "This might not be what I expected, but maybe it's exactly what I needed." Marigold woke up to the sound of roosters crowing and horses whinnying in the distance. Her body ached from the firm guest bed, but there was something peaceful about the morning air drifting through the open window. The scents were earthy hay leather, and sun-ants strangely comforting. At breakfast, the Rourke family welcomed her warmly. Nathan's mother, Patty, was a sturdy woman with kind eyes and a practical way about her. She didn't fuss over appearances but seemed genuinely interested in Marigold's story, where she was from, what she liked to read, if she could ride a horse. "I've never tried," Marigold admitted, a little embarrassed. "My family never, well, ranches and horses weren't really our thing." Patty smiled. "You're in the right place to learn." Nathan said little during the meal, but Marigold caught him watching her a few times, not rudely, but curiously. He wasn't like the men back home who either ignored her or treated her like someone to pity. His eyes weren't judgmental. If anything, they were thoughtful. After breakfast, Nathan asked if she wanted a tour of the ranch. She hesitated. Heels would have been a disaster, but thankfully she'd packed walking shoes, not knowing what to expect. As they walked the dirt paths between corrals and pastures, Marigold felt something new, ease. She listened attentively as Nathan talked about the land, the cattle, and the challenges of running a ranch. When she asked about a broken fence post, he seemed surprised she noticed. Most people wouldn't have. "You pay attention," he said. She smiled. "Well, it's all new to me, but beautiful, too." He paused. Not everyone would see it that way. Marigold looked around. The trees, the sky, the simplicity of it all. It wasn't about glamour. It was about something real. Maybe they're not looking closely enough. They shared a moment of silence that felt meaningful rather than awkward. Back at the main house, she found herself laughing with Patty over peeling potatoes for dinner. They swapped stories, Patty about Nathan's childhood and his stubborn streak, Marigold about growing up with sisters who saw her as little more than a family footnote. Later that night, alone in her room, she scrolled through her phone and saw the messages from her sisters. "So, how's the Wild West? Any cow pies yet? Bet the cowboy's regretting his life choices." Marigold stared at the screen, then slowly turned it face down. A few days ago, their words would have stung, but now, something inside her was shifting. She didn't feel like the fat sister here. She felt like someone worth knowing. Meanwhile, Nathan stood on the porch, watching the stars. He couldn't put his finger on it, but Marigold wasn't like any woman he'd met before. She wasn't trying to impress or pretend. She just was, and somehow, that was everything. 3 days into her stay, Marigold felt more at ease than she had in years. She still second-guessed herself now and then every time she caught her reflection or remembered why she was sent here in the first place, but the voices of doubt were quieter in Texas. The land didn't judge her, and neither, it seemed, did Nathan. That morning, Patty handed Marigold a wide-brimmed hat and a pair of worn leather gloves. Time to learn how to ride. Marigold blinked. Really? Nathan appeared from behind the stables, already saddling up a calm chestnut mare. You said you've never ridden, right? Well, this one's a sweetheart. Her name's Clementine. Marigold laughed. Clementine, that's perfect. The first few minutes were awkward. Her posture was stiff, and every jolt made her grip the saddle like her life depended on it. Nathan stayed close, walking beside her with the reins in hand. He gave quiet instructions, never impatient, always steady. Relax your shoulders, he murmured. She'll feel your nerves. Just breathe. She obeyed, and slowly, she began to find a rhythm. By the time they reached the open field, her grip had loosened and she was laughing freely, joyfully. I can't believe I'm doing this, she called out. Nathan smiled, unable to look away. Told you she was gentle. They stopped under a large oak tree for water. Nathan handed her a bottle, and as she sipped, he studied her. You're different, he said simply. Marigold raised an eyebrow. Different how? Most people from the city talk down to us, or act like this kind of life is beneath them. You're not like that. She looked out across the golden field, the horses grazing in the distance. I think, for the first time, I don't feel like I have to perform. No one here expects me to be someone else. Nathan nodded slowly. That's a rare thing. There was a silence between them then, but not empty comfortable. Something was building. Quietly, naturally, no pressure, no assumptions. But not everyone was blind to it. That evening, as Marigold helped Patty prepare cornbread in the kitchen, Nathan's younger sister, Ellie, came in and leaned against the counter. She'd been watching them for days, and now she said with a teasing grin, So, when's the wedding? Marigold nearly dropped the mixing bowl, blushing furiously. What? Oh no, I'm just a guest. Sure, Ellie winked, and Nathan just happens to spend more time with you than with the cattle. Marigold laughed it off, but inside, her heart fluttered. Could that be true? Was he just being kind? Or was there something more? Later that night, she found a folded note on her pillow. Nathan's handwriting was unmistakable. You did great today. Hope you'll ride with me again tomorrow. And her fingers trembled slightly as she held the note. She sat on the edge of the bed and let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Maybe, just maybe, this wasn't a joke anymore. The next morning, Marigold rose before the rooster even had a chance to greet the sun. Something had shifted since Nathan left that note. She felt lighter, bolder, almost like she belonged here. She threw on her jeans, a button-up shirt Patty had lent her, and tied her hair back in a low ponytail. It wasn't glamorous, but it felt right. She found Nathan saddling up 2 horses. Just as promised. Thought you might sleep in. He teased. I didn't want to miss another chance to impress Clementine. She smiled back. They rode farther this time, out beyond the back pastures where the land rolled into soft hills and the fence line faded into the wild. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was full. Birds called in the distance, and the breeze tugged gently at the edges of their shirts. Can I ask you something? She said as they stopped under a tree to rest. Sure. Why did you agree to this setup? Her voice was quiet, hesitant. Nathan looked at her, not in a rush to answer. I got tired of trying to find something that wasn't real. The people I used to meet, it always felt like they were chasing a checklist. I guess I just wanted something honest. She nodded slowly. I know that feeling. Nathan's gaze lingered on her face, then shifted down as if gathering courage. And when you showed up, I knew right away you weren't who I was expecting. Marigold laughed softly. Yeah, I get that a lot. No, he said, serious now. I mean it as a compliment. Their eyes met, and something passed between them unspoken, but undeniable. But peace doesn't last forever. That afternoon, Marigold received a video call from her sister Claudia. She nearly ignored it, but curiosity got the better of her. Wow, Claudia said, panning the camera across her designer apartment. Still in cowboy country. Bet they've never seen a blowout or a real manicure. Marigold forced a polite smile. It's actually really peaceful here. Claudia rolled her eyes. You're not seriously catching feelings, are you? Mom sent you as a joke. Mari, don't tell me you forgot that. I didn't forget, she said evenly. But maybe the joke's over. Whatever, don't get too comfortable. You're still you, remember? That comment hit her like a slap. The old shame threatening to rise, but something inside her pushed back. She hung up without another word. Later that evening, as the sun dipped low, Nathan found her sitting alone near the stables. You okay? He asked gently. She hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, I just needed to remember who I am, or maybe figure out who I want to be. Nathan stepped closer. Well, whoever that is. I think she's pretty incredible. Marigold looked up at him, a mix of doubt and hope in her eyes. I'm not what most people expect, she said softly. I don't want what most people want, he replied. Then, as the sky turned lavender and the first stars blinked awake, he took her hand. The night after Nathan took her hand, Marigold felt something she hadn't known in a long time, hope, the quiet kind that grows slowly, steady and sure. The ranch felt different now, not just a place she was visiting, but a place where she could imagine staying. Over the next week, their connection deepened naturally. Nathan taught her to ride confidently, to care for the animals, and to find joy in the small, rugged details of ranch life. Marigold shared her own stories, her dreams, and the things that made her laugh and cry. Neither tried to rush what was blooming between them, it simply grew. The Rourke family saw the change, too. Patty often caught Nathan watching Marigold with a softness that hadn't been there before. Ellie teased them less and less, sometimes even joining their laughter. The ranch wasn't just a backdrop anymore, it was a home in the making. One evening, as the sun sank behind the hills, Nathan led Marigold to the porch swing. He held a small weathered box in his hand, the kind of box you keep things precious in. I wasn't sure how to say this, he began, voice rough with emotion, but I don't want you to leave when your visit ends. Marigold's breath caught. Nathan, I know it wasn't supposed to be like this. Your family's joke, the way they sent you here, but to me, you're no joke. You're the woman I've been waiting for, the one who sees me and this life for what it really is. She reached out, her fingers brushing the box open to reveal a simple silver ring, etched with a tiny horseshoe. Will you stay? With me. Here. Tears sprang to Marigold's eyes, tears of disbelief, joy, and relief. She thought about all the years she'd spent doubting herself, hiding in the shadows of others. But now, looking at Nathan, she saw something new. Acceptance, partnership, and love. Yes, she whispered. I want to stay. With you. They embraced under the stars, the world wide and open around them. The past's cruel jokes had no power here. What mattered was the truth they found in each other. Truth stronger than any mockery. Back east, her sister's messages went unanswered. This time, she didn't need to respond. Marigold had found her place, not just on the ranch but in her own story, a story of courage, love, and being seen for who she really was. And Nathan, he finally had the partner he'd been searching for, the woman who was no joke but the love of his life.